they're coming from a safe country. They could have claimed asylum there if it was genuinely motivated by running away from persecution, and that's what makes a difference here. And that's why I think Priti has been right to take the toughest line possible. What more we can do, I'm not sure, as in I know Priti's looking at a number of options, but many of them depend on what our legal avenues are. But I know that the Home Secretary has been looking at this, and she's published recently a consultation about some further measures she'll be able to take.
This is invention. I think that we do not threat UK in no way. UK is a nuclear power, permanent member of the Security Council. It has a strong army, strong maritime forces. So this is nonsense.
Well, Ambassador, I've got to tell you, I feel personally threatened. I feel personally threatened by Russia. 4 of my children go to school, have been, and 3 still go to school in Salisbury. And for a number of weeks, large parts of the town that they travelled to go to school were taped off with police tape because people had died because of poison that was left by Russian agents. I know you're about to deny that happened and that Russia had anything to do with it. I don't think we'll believe you, and nor will my children.
No, I can tell you only that if we will have and earlier some information about what has happened, we would appreciate it very much. We have made very many requests to British authorities, requesting information, requesting samples, requesting investigation, or cooperating with us on the investigating of this subject. Or at least we would like to know what is now going on. Where are Skripal's, where is his daughter, how do they feel, because they are Russian citizens. But we didn't get any answer, absolutely no answer at all from any question.
But even if we gave you an answer, Mr. Ambassador, yeah, I was going to say, even if we gave you an answer, Mr. Ambassador, we saw when we gave you answers about the killing of Alexander Litvinenko that the person that we decided was responsible for his murder wasn't brought to justice in Russia.
This is you who decided that he's responsible. It is not us. So keep it to yourself if you like.
Okay. Well, we can't. I'm sure the British state would love to bring the person we feel was responsible for killing somebody on British soil to justice, but we're incapable of doing that. Can we just talk a little bit? We've talked about what happened in the waters off the Crimea. Can we talk about what happens in the airspace over the Shetlands, or indeed even in the English Channel, when the sorts of things that you're now accusing the Royal Navy of doing, of going aggressively into territorial waters or airspace, is done by Russian jets or by Russian warships? And why you feel it's necessary to test our military? We have to scramble Typhoon jets when your jets enter our airspace. We have to shadow your aircraft carrier or cruisers when they're in the English Channel. It just feels to some people, including people of my generation who grew up with the shadow of the nuclear mushroom cloud, and we thought we'd moved on from that, but we haven't. It just feels like we're back in the dark days of the Cold War.
Here we should make really must and should make a division. What has been done by your ships near Crimea, that was a pure provocation. They were just trying to challenge our guards and our ships, those who are guarding the territory. The ships of Russian Navy, there is a passage not through your territorial waters at all. They even do not approach. They are going through the open sea in accordance with all provisions of maritime laws and maritime convention. There is a provision also in the Maritime Convention when you are going through territorial waters with innocent passage, you should notify authorities. That has not been done by British ships. What you are asking is, of course, we have our ships and our aircraft in the air, probably close to Britain, but they never, believe me, never are violating territorial waters of the United States.
Look, I don't say that our migration system is perfect, but I do think that any system which depends upon the people coming in legally having a job from day one at market wages plus is a good system, because where people can come to our country, join Team Australia or Team Great Britain, whichever it might be, and contribute from day one, that is what we want. And that has been one of the great strengths of both our countries, that people can come to Britain, they can come to Australia, make a new home there, and be first-class Australians, first-class Britons very, very quickly. Look, on illegal migration by boat, this is a dreadful, dreadful problem. It's a deadly problem, as you're finding, as we found. And frankly, no one who comes illegally by boat should be allowed to stay, because if they are allowed to stay, it provides the people smugglers with a product to sell. And if they've got a product to sell, away they'll go. Now, I know people are keen to get to countries like Britain and Australia. They're very desirable places to live. But if you lose control of your borders, migration generally becomes a huge problem. And the only way there's going to be popular support for legal migration is if illegal migration is kept very, very rigorously under control. The point is, if you come the wrong way, you must not be allowed to stay. The British government needs to say to the people smugglers very firmly, the way is closed. It's not as if they're leaving an unsafe country in France. Anyone who leaves France illegally needs to go back pronto.
Thank you very much, Mark. What's the latest, please?
Well, Lord Justice Fulford has just handed down this whole life tariff to Wayne Couzens. He will never see the light of day again. He will be taken off to prison to spend the rest of his life behind bars. This is the verdict or the sentence that the family of Sarah Everard and indeed the prosecution had been calling for, just because of the horrific nature of this crime. The fact that Wayne Couzens didn't just kidnap, rape and murder a woman from the street, which is a horrific enough offence, but he used his authority, his office as a police officer, to coerce this woman, to trick this woman into believing that she had somehow broken COVID regulations. He wasn't on duty on the day that he arrested Sarah Everard on the street. She'd been at dinner with friends in South London, had walked through Clapham Common and was heading home towards Brixton that evening when she was stopped in the street by Wayne Couzens. He was dressed in plain clothes, but did have a Metropolitan Police issue belt with handcuffs and other items on it. He flashed his identity at this young woman, his warrant card. Well, it is again another very significant day of migrant activity out in the English Channel. What we're told is that so far at least 14 small boats have been intercepted. Each of these boats, we're told, holding about 40 to 50 migrants. We are expecting any second now here at Dover Harbour another lifeboat, the Dover lifeboat this time, to come in. We're told it is absolutely full to the gunwales with migrants that they've picked up in a number of incidents out there in the Channel. What I'm going to do is just step to the side and allow Jeremy, our cameraman, to concentrate fully on this shot that you see now as the lifeboat rounds the corner here into Dover Harbour, and you can see, well, I said it was packed out. Absolutely is. Just that's the bow of the vessel there, full of migrants with some border force or lifeboat crew, I should say. And then I think towards the stern of this lifeboat, more migrants on it as well. We have had now, this is our third day of very significant activity involving these small boats crossing the Channel, and the reason is that we have had a break in the weather. It's been relatively calm. I say relatively calm. It's never ideal conditions out in the Channel, but it is just calm enough for them to be able to make it, and there are thousands waiting to get over. I'm just going to pause for a second as we see this lifeboat pass us now. and you can see they're waving from a number of those on board. And as I say, look at the stern of this vessel, the Dover lifeboat as well, again full of migrants waving at us as they have made what they wanted to do, which was to get from France to the UK.
Someone like Ricky Gervais in this country, he says whatever he wants and he doesn't care about because he can't be cancelled.
I still think that even he toes the line a little bit. He thinks about it. I mean, I do think he considers it. You have to, because the weird thing is, like for me, like what I feel about what's happening right now. I mean, I feel like I could talk about it on stage because I'm established, but I also think like, if you're partners with the biggest streaming service in the world, and then if you also, you're doing a commercial for this international company, and so you have to think, what, how much do I really want to rock the boat? So I do think that sometimes I think people forget that this is supposed to be an irritant. You are supposed to, as a comedian, you're supposed to be controversial. You're supposed to take the other side. You're supposed to get the audience to question their foundational thinking.
That ability to look away and let things be is a sign of maturity. And behind closed doors, and this is what the racism of law expectations is about, is with those Muslims, they're just not there yet. That's really what it boils down to.
That's a really interesting point as far as that. Is it this expectation that Muslims are likely to react violently if they're upset? That's a very patronising
because the Christians used to do that in the past. They're over it now.
Right.
They're old enough, they're mature enough, they're adults. The assumption is if you're a Muslim, a drawing of the Prophet Muhammad, whether it's flattering or not, is going to offend you. Can you look away?
Well, it's not necessarily true that all Muslims would be offended.
Well, first of all, it's not true.
Yeah.
That's again why I think it's a form of racism, and it's a form of, in itself, if you want to pursue the notion of Islamophobia,
yes.
It is actually a form of phobia.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
On to the point, we love bringing you the news, but we also love bringing our opinions on the news. And something I'm personally very passionate about is the criminal justice system in this country. And I've spoken a lot about this. Let's take a look. Now, over the weekend, a police officer was slashed while he was attending a stabbing in North London, just another in the ever-growing list of knife crime on British streets. London is, yet again, set to have a record-breaking year in terms of knife crime. Last year was a record breaker, as was the year before. The problem is getting worse. So what are the stats on knife crime? Well, since 2010, the number of violent and sexual crimes that involved a knife have gone up by more than 50%. The number of threats to kill using knives have more than tripled. And this isn't just an inner-city London problem. Surrey, for God's sake, crowned as the poshest home county in England, has seen a nearly 600% increase in offences involving sharp instruments over the last 10 years. And let me say what we're all thinking. There's one group in society that is most involved in knife crime from both sides. Nearly half of all murder victims in the capital have been black. That's despite black people making up only 13% of London. And on the other side, nearly half of people charged with knife crimes are black. Often these are young black men running around in broad daylight, acting tough with their blades. I've seen the videos, you've seen the videos. I'm not saying knife crime is a black problem, of course it's not. White people stab too, let's just be clear. But when young black men are 3 times more likely to be murdered than any other group, to ignore the race aspect is completely irresponsible. And you'd think the groups which claim to care so much about black lives would be all over the issue like a rash. But Black Lives Matter, the self-appointed spokespeople for black people globally, although not for me, I have to say, are too busy defacing statues and trying to cancel 18th century white men from textbooks to actually address the real issues affecting black people. You know, like being much more likely to literally get stabbed in the street by another black person. What would actually make me respect Black Lives Matter, the socialist activist group, which people like to pretend is not a socialist activist group, is if they actually, for once, tackled head-on the real issues facing black communities. Of course, I'll inevitably be slated for this, mainly by those on the left who will say, I'm playing into tropes about so-called black-on-black crime. Well, so be it. I won't cower from saying that when knife crime is on the rise, it means the blood of more black kids is on the streets and more black kids will end up in jail. And quite frankly, if you're uncomfortable with pointing out that knife crime is disproportionately a black issue, then clearly black lives don't really matter to you. Many people will be waking up this morning to the harrowing detail revealed in the sentence hearing of ex-Met Police officer Wayne Couzens, who kidnapped, raped and murdered Sarah Everard in March of this year. It's been reported that Couzens could be handed a whole life order, meaning he would die behind bars. That life would truly mean life, which I believe is exactly what he deserves. But life doesn't mean life for the overwhelming majority of those who are handed this sentence for the worst of crimes. There are currently only around 60 criminals in the UK serving whole life orders. That's 1% of those who our justice systems say have committed crimes so heinous they deserve to spend decades behind bars. The other 99%, murderers, violent criminals, the worst among us in society, will one day be free. I believe this is unacceptable. There are too many people who will one day be free who don't ever deserve to be. Rapists and murderers, child killers, paedophiles. Anyone who has ever listened to me opine on our justice system will know that I think there's an overwhelming moral case for certain kinds of criminals to never be let out. I want to see whole life orders for child rapists and violent murderers normalised, but our justice system is incredibly queasy in handing down this tariff. Many people argue against it on cost grounds, that we already pay too much to keep prisoners in prison. There's much truth to this. The average cost to the taxpayer of holding one prisoner for a year is around £44,000, around £120 a day. In total, the overall expenditure on prisons sits at £3.5 billion, a number that is spiralling. Keeping the most serious offenders locked up is even more, reportedly nearly double that cost. In fact, the price we pay for keeping prisoners behind bars is reported to be higher per capita than any EU country, and even America, which houses 1 in 4 of the world's prison population. Now, there are so many questions to be asked about our justice system, issues about resources spent on low-level crime, issues about inadequate rehabilitation of those who only deserve limited sentences. There's issues about race disparities, about overcrowding, issues about drugs and gang violence within prison walls. But the question has to be asked, if the moral case for keeping more prisoners locked up behind bars until death is strong, if we as a society think it's pressing that this change happens and happens fast, are we, the public, willing to stomach the cost? My personal response is yes. I'm ideologically averse to higher and higher taxes as a solution to all of society's problems. But would I be willing to pay more taxes to ensure the worst among us never get a chance to roam the streets again? Yes, I absolutely would. Whilst many politicians are known for trying to be as diplomatic, or as vanilla, as possible, our other guests were not afraid to show their fiery side.
These are nothing but holy hypocrites, abusing these boys between the age of 10 and 13. These guys are paedophiles. Those that are alive should be now incarcerated, because some of them may well be, maybe not. But I mean, you can't just look back and say, oh, this is history. It will still be going on now. I mean, how many more countries do we have to see this with the Catholic Church? We've had Germany, we've had South America, we've had Ireland, we've had England, we've had Australia, and now we've had France. There will be Italy, there will be Spain, there will be Portugal. It will all be there as well. And for the Pope to say, I mean, honest to God, I was absolutely enraged. For the Pope to say he feels pain, why isn't he angry? What is he actually planning to do? Now this guy, Francois Defoe, has come out and supported the victims, and he's like made this recognising the victims that are part of the church's responsibility. This is something that the bishops and the Pope, they're not prepared to do. So what is his first thoughts? This is the Pope. His first thoughts are for the victims. Well, fine. What is he actually planning to do with the perpetrators that are on his watch? What is he planning to do?
Listen, the only thing I don't mince is my words. And unfortunately, a lot of people these days do mince their words, don't they? Shall we start with some statistics for the viewers?
Yes,
right?
grounders in
fact.
fact.
Here you go. I've done some research this morning. This is startling figures, seriously. Number of obese kids needing NHS urgent treatment has doubled in 5 years. Oversized kids potentially at risk of sleep apnea. It can be fatal. That's doubled in 5 years. 271% rise in stomach reflux cases linked to being overweight in kids.
Great.
And diabetes is up 259%. So are these fat camps a good idea? Well, the first thing to say is I am amazed you've not been inundated with people saying, oh, this is fat shaming. My goodness, you know. But of course,
it's the wrong news channel for that kind of interaction.
Yes. I think that's you're confusing us with the Beeb. But I actually did a monologue on this about, I don't know, 40 minutes ago or something, and I said, look, first of all, let's blame the parents perhaps a little bit more. Let's stop shifting the blame away from parents and onto the state, because we seem to want to just say, oh, well...
Listen, can I just say this to you? This is why I absolutely love you. Because you are one of the very few people on the telly that say it as it is. Are parents the number one culprits? Absolutely true. They are the role models. And all of this claptrap that, it's too expensive to eat healthily. No, it's not. And in fact, there is studies out there. There is a study out there that shows it's cheaper to eat healthily. I think that what we've got are too many parents suffering with can't be bothered-itis. And actually what we need in this country is something much more direct that actually says things such as, if your child is too fat, they are on death row, sort it out. Yeah?
Can I just ask you, if those final results, whenever they're due to come out, do say he did have tuberculosis, I know that's something you strongly dispute, but will you accept that?
No, I'd accept it no more than a flying pig. If it comes back positive, that's because the results have been faked, and I'm afraid DEFRA have been faking TV science. They've been faking the financial records. They've been passing £100 million of my money to various people who are doing very well out of it. Thank you very much.
Some people listen to you, particularly people who have been involved in the energy sector, and say we've decarbonised faster than any major economy. Renewable power has increased sixfold over a 10-year period. We've decarbonised faster than any rich country on this planet. We're 1% of global emissions. We already have a legally binding target to go net zero by 2050. We're banning new petrol and diesels by 2035. We're doing so much. So why are you taking such drastic action when the UK is already doing so much more than other nations?
Yeah, so I just want to tick the list of questions. You've asked me about disruption. Now it's we're already doing enough. I expect you're going to call me a terrorist and save hypocrite for the last. Is that right?
No, I just want you to answer my question.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Why the UK is already decarbonising?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like it's getting pretty boring because you just ask the same questions all the time. And what you should be asking is why the government.
Well, I'm bored of you. So can we just cut him off, because I'm actually bored of him actually now. So he won't answer my question, and I'm pretty bored of him. Well, I guess I can be quite fiery as well. We're very proud of the coverage we've brought to you throughout the year of some of the big important stories of the day. If it matters to you, then it matters to us. And if you're thinking it, we're not afraid to say it. But we're also not afraid to have a bit of fun.
OK, Tom, just stay with us for a quick second, because I've been asked quite a few times, those what look like flowers behind you, are they real or plastic?
Do you know what? I'm not actually sure. They do look a little bit plastic. If you will bear with me, Patrick, if you will bear with me, I can unplug myself and go and feel...
Yes,
I can go and
feel a flower.
The COP26 for you, and I'll run right back and tell you exactly.
Do you cop a feel of a flower, Tom, while we fill? And it's very interesting, very fascinating. There we go.
You can still hear me, but I can't hear you. So I'm running over here to have a look at these. Oh gosh, it's really hard to know. I think they might be. They might be real. I think they are real. Yes, they are real. There's soil in there. There's soil in there, and these are sort of rubbery, actual, real plants. There you go. Not plastic. Who would have thought it? I certainly wouldn't have thought it. I'll plug back in so that I can hear you.
Fantastic stuff, Tom. There you go. You love to see it. Tom Harwood, there we roving
go.
reporter.
Good stuff.
Roving reporter at COP26. What a hero. Now, McDonald's is launching a new McPlant burger in 250 UK restaurants today. The fast food chain, which is, of course, famous for its greasy burgers, beautiful burgers, lovely but lukewarm chicken nuggets as well, apparently, is now claiming to be caring for us and caring to the planet by adding a new vegan burger to its menu. So the McPlant consists of a Beyond Meat patty made of pea and rice mince, so vegan cheese as well, and all the usual soggy salad fixtures as well. So the chain assures us that it tastes just like the real thing. So we thought we'd put that to the test, ladies and gentlemen.
Did.
So firstly, I have a normal Big Mac here, so I thought I'd just, get stuck in, really, if I may. So,
I'm not sure.
You'd love to see it. Well, that's beautiful. It's succulent. It's a glorious combination, really, isn't it? Of gherkin, cheese, lettuce, meat, bread. It's been brought together in a way that few other things ever have. And then we've got.
Ready? I'm ready to do this.
This is the vegan offering.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, well, that's a bit like cardboard. I mean, that is like someone has painted over the Sistine Chapel. Right? That is absolutely horrendous. Like someone's punched the Mona Lisa in the face. Why on earth would they do that? Could cow poo be a solution to the UK's renewable energy crisis? The farmers at Arla Group certainly think so. They say almost 1.2 million tonnes of cow slurry are available in the UK each year from their farms alone, and that the waste shouldn't go to waste.
Yes, they claim they can repurpose the poo into green energy that could potentially power up to 4% of the UK's households. They've even developed cow batteries, and we really do mean that. I think we can show you those. Cow batteries. These are batteries, rechargeable batteries, actually.
There you are. The world gets to now see that I bite my nails.
Rechargeable AA batteries there, which are powered by cow poo, believe it or not,
So
and actually
just
look very impressive. A very cute design. So, yeah, a story we could particularly believe this morning. But joining us now from Copenhagen is Graham Wilkinson, the Group Agriculture Director at Arla, who is exactly the sort of person who can tell us all about this. So, I mean, first of all, obviously it does all sound like a bit of a joke, but it's actually quite a sophisticated technology, isn't it? Tell us how it all works.
Well, thank you for inviting me on it. It sounds a bit gimmicky, but it is actually a very serious opportunity that we're actually very excited about. If you take Britain, we've got an ambition to be 100% renewable energy by 2035, and we currently stand at 40% of energy coming from renewable sources. So we would like to call on government and industry to look at the breadth of the renewable energy mix that we look into to be able to power Britain's homes.
Well, Patrick, have you actually tried pressing the on button? Oh, so it's working now. Okay, great. Well, I have to go. One of the perks of my job is working with my co-host, Patrick Christys. In fact, we have so much fun, you might have caught us off guard having a little giggle. The man is quite the character.
People of Britain, I have a message for you. The next time that your other half tells you that you're spending too much time at the pub, politely inform them that you're doing your civic duty. You're keeping the cogs of this country grinding, the wheels turning. You are a hero. You are a national treasure. You owe it to yourselves, your ancestors, and all of those who will come after you to go down to the Nag's Head and drink the place dry. When I think of Britain, ladies and gentlemen, I think of the White Cliffs of Dover. I think of 1966. I think of red buses. I think of rolling, beautiful countryside. I think of our dear Queen, but much, much more than that. I think of the local pub and all who gather within her. Britain, do your duty. Go to the pub. Cheers.
As you can see, we don't always take ourselves too seriously here at GB News. But one thing we do take very seriously is our love of this great nation, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, from Queen to culture, to my personal favourite, pork pies. But most of all, what we love most is the great British people. You at home who have kept us company over the last 6 months and kept us going. We hope you enjoy your time in this festive period with your loved ones. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Dan Wootton, join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Hello there, and a very good morning to you. I'm Colin Brazier with you until 2 p.m. this New Year's Eve. Coming up over the next few hours, a look at the dullest December in years, not because of the pandemic necessarily, but the absence of sunshine. A mere 26 hours of sunshine this month, not for 65 years have we had so little of it in December. Also, NHS bosses signalling their belief that Omicron isn't sufficiently severe, especially amongst the elderly, to require extra lockdown steps. And another 2 violent deaths in London. We ask how the absence of fathers may be one reason that so many young men are turning to knife crime. But first, the headlines with Rhiannon Jones.
I'm Rhiannon Jones. This is your news at 10 o'clock. Boris Johnson has announced government booster targets have been met and that the UK is in an incomparable better position than this time last year. In his New Year message, the Prime Minister says the country has offered all eligible adults the chance to get a booster jab. He adds 7 in 10 in England have had their 3rd vaccine. But he urged those celebrating tonight remain cautious and to take a test before going out.
British people have responded heroically, voluntarily, and in almost incredible numbers to the call to get vaccinated. Though I must of course urge everyone to be cautious and to take a test if you're going out, and to remember the importance of ventilation. Follow the rules if you're in Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland.
Health leaders, meanwhile, have warned up to 40% of vaccine appointments are no-shows. The NHS has said it's encouraging to see people coming forward for the jabs, but some vaccination clinics are reportedly only a third full. Doctors are urging everyone to take up their jab and take necessary precautions while celebrating this new year.
Please, whatever happens, don't shoot the messengers. Those of us who are in healthcare, our main concern is to make sure that the risk of infections are minimized. And if people are rigorous and nevertheless can have a chance to enjoy themselves, that's what we're all aiming for.
A 16-year-old boy has been killed in West London, the second incident in just 24 hours. The Met Police has confirmed the stabbing in Hillingdon, bringing the total number of teenage murders this year to 30. It marks a new record in the capital, which was previously seen in 2008. This comes as experts claim social media is key in the rise of teenage violence in the capital. They believe online violent content has helped normalise and exacerbate aggression. Tens of thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes in the US amid devastating wildfires. The governor of Colorado has declared a state of emergency after 600 homes were destroyed. The fires are spreading quickly in strong winds of up to 105 miles an hour, with the blaze currently covering 2.5 square miles. Scientists say climate change and an extremely dry autumn and winter are to blame. The US and Russian presidents have exchanged warnings over Ukraine. During a call, their second this month, Joe Biden said he needed to see Russia decrease its military build-up near Ukraine. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin said sanctions threatened by Washington and its allies could lead to a breakdown in relations. The call was requested by Mr. Putin. Both sides said diplomatic talks in January could ease spiralling tensions. Credit card spending has leapt past pre-pandemic levels. Barclaycard says consumer spending has risen by nearly 6% this year compared to 2019. The credit card giant says it's due to a boom in online shopping. Takeaways, digital entertainment and home improvements are among the things consumers spend their money on, despite the broader economic impact of the pandemic. Britons living in the EU have been given the green light to travel home by road via France. Non-essential travel to the country has been largely prohibited since the 18th of December in a bid to limit the spread of the Omicron variant. It comes as Germany is also set to lift a ban on British tourists. From midnight on the 4th of January, those fully vaccinated or that have an important reason to travel can enter the country. Care homes that set up their own pubs during lockdown boosted spirits of those cut off from loved ones. That's according to a survey. More than half of 4,000 care home staff said socialising in-house helped residents' well-being during the pandemic. 3/4 were found to have formed a stronger bond, while a fifth used the pub daily. And they were once a rare sight in UK waters, but humpback whales are making a comeback. The Cornwall Wildlife Trust recorded 17 local sightings this year as the species are thought to be chasing newly arrived shoals of sardines. The giant mammals have also been seen off the Isle of Scilly, the Firth of Forth and Shetland. Marine experts say a ban on commercial whaling means numbers are slowly recovering. And that's your news update. I'll be back in an hour with the latest headlines. Now let's return to Colin.
Well, sad to say, another ugly milestone then for our capital city this morning. Never have we seen so many teenagers perish at the hands of other young men in London. 2 more victims in the last 24 hours. The latest victims, boys aged 15 and 16, stabbed in South and West London, respectively. Their names, when officially released,